At the beginning of the story, we are shown a girl who used to tell strange and drowning stories on the radio at night. The name of this girl is Candy. Candy is your listeners. The first thing she says to the listeners is that if you are scared while listening to scary stories alone, then please turn off the radio. She says because you won't be able to sleep after listening to my stories. Jendi was all alone in her studio at night. She wanted to feel these stories like her listeners. She sees that Jack Ma's man has sent her lipstick. He liked this color very much, and his voice was also praising it a lot. She applies that lipstick and starts reciting her first statement. It tells about a girl who started living in a society where no one lived, except her and her husband. All the houses there were built the same way, but all of them were empty. Earlier, what business did that girl do in photography? But now her business has also ended. She did not have any job, but her husband still had a small job, but in that job both of them could barely survive, and that is why they had to live in such a place with less money. That girl, living in that environment, started feeling as if she is completely alone. There is no one around her. Sometimes when she wakes up, she sees some fox looking for food from the fox or its garbage. Seeing them, she comes to the left. So that girl starts giving pictures of those stray foxes. Now she likes to live with them and thinks that the life of these foxes is so good that neither they have any secret nor about anything. Thinking about it, she now started staying with him day and night and started making pictures. While living with those foxes, she felt as if she had a relationship with them. At the same place where she felt good with Lumio, it was there that she started feeling like her husband was her own life. Every day, as soon as her husband leaves for work, she spends the whole day with the foxes. One day at night, her husband looks at his camera. He was surprised to see that all the pictures are of foxes, a very close-up, which looked more like a join than a pogo. He asks him, "Why are there such pictures in your camera? And why are you changing?" After hearing this, she runs away from her own house. It seemed as if she was running like a fox. 4 days had passed. That girl's husband searched for her a lot, but he could not find her anywhere. Her missing posters were put up everywhere but in this society. If no one was there, then who would look at his missing posters? After a few days, some foxes come again to look for food in the garbage. Seeing them, the girl's husband comes out. He was trying to drive them away from there. But a fox does not go anywhere from there. It was just standing there. When that girl's husband did not notice the tears in her eyes, he was surprised to see that the fox's eyes were exactly like his wife's. And after narrating this story, she asks her listeners, "What did you think? Did that girl really go to the fox forest? Or was it just her husband's thoughts?" It takes a Candy break after telling the story. Candy got a call during Brick. The man says, "I can see you when you put on the lipstick sent by me. My name is Jai." Candy gets nervous at first. She feels as if someone is following her. Yes. But later she starts thinking that maybe one of her callers is joking with her, and she disconnects the call to check. Then she tells another story, which was about a girl saying that she believed that she was trapped in another world. One day, when he was sitting in his house watching TV, he suddenly saw on his screen a man wearing a mask who was beating a girl, but the surprising thing was that in which place he saw this person on his screen. It was visible that it was her house. He goes to check his house. He thinks that the house he saw is his house, but after going to that place, he does not see anyone. Suddenly, the same girl appears in front of him, and also a man wearing a mask who attacked the girl. He sees a girl who was being beaten by the masked man earlier. She runs away from there. Then the man attacks the boy, but he also escapes from him and comes into the room and quickly starts calling the police. After some time, he looks at the screen again to see that the man had killed his version that is a boy like him. That boy is surprised to see on the screen that if I am sitting here, then how can anyone kill me, or he had gone to another world for some time. He does not understand anything. Now, for the first time in his life, he had to solve what had happened to him in just a few moments. Then after hearing this story, Candy gets a call. A man says that, who knows, suddenly he has reached a world which was exactly like the world to him. When Candy finishes this second story, she again gets a call from the man named Jack, who had sent the lipstick for it. He tells Candy his story. He tells that one day I saw a very beautiful and famous girl in the bar and I liked her. But he took advantage of me. She bought the most expensive liquor of that bar with my money, after which she made fun of me and ran away with her friends. There was only one liquor for him, but it cost me 3 months' earnings, tells after listening to his story. Oh, okay. So that day you mean that the girl about whom Jack was talking was Candy. She apologizes to him after hearing all this. Jack keeps saying, "No, I can't forgive you so easily. Now you will have to suffer the punishment for this." Sometimes the check call stops, after which a new caller narrates his story. He was telling the story of a hospital where people believe that as soon as the night falls, a woman is seen there. Now let us know about this thing. To do this, a film producer came to see the hospital with his employee girl. He wanted to make a horror brownie movie at that place. Employee girl tells the producer that 100 years ago a nurse used to work here. Then she was locked in a room where she kept saying only one thing, that I want my child, mother-in-law, producer, all in her mobile. Was recording something. After which the nurse committed suicide by breaking the window glass, while both of them were talking and moving ahead. Then both of them notice that there is a sound of someone climbing behind them. As if someone is following him, he doesn't pay much attention to it. The employer takes the boy producer to the delivery room where she tells him that it is said that here the nurse's child was killed as soon as it was born because the doctors said that the child was a devilish child. That is why the employed girl was killed. But she again meets the same doctor who is surrounded, and seeing her, she says that the doctor in the picture is my grandfather. She tells the producer that this story can also be true because my grandfather never did any such wrong thing. Maybe they really thought he was some devil's escape. The employee girl was telling this whole story to the producer when suddenly she heard the sound of a child crying. How could a child cry in a closed room? When both of them run to see, all the doors were closed, and then a woman attacks the producer from behind. Seeing all this, the employer was scared that who would be here who is doing this. She screams in fear, "Please let us go home. Who are you? Then go away from here." Darby ran in front of her and gave her a call from behind her. "I was also coming to know that I want my child." The employer had understood that it is the soul of the same nurse who is still wandering in this hospital, and what people say is absolutely true. That is why she started running away from here in fear. On the way she sees that the soul of that nurse has torn the producer to pieces, had killed by doing so. Seeing this, she became more scared of the employer. Now she started running to the same place where the nurse was kept. The spirit of the nurse was also following her, who repeatedly said only that, When my child returns to the employer's room where he was, it suddenly closes. Candy says after this story, "What do you guys think what will happen to that girl by the spirit of the nurse?" Just then, Candy gets a call from the check again. He says that your time is over, you will get ready for punishment, and after hearing this, she gets very scared and immediately calls the police. But Jai. Now she was inside her studio, holding a liquor bottle in one hand and an axe in the other. She went inside and locked herself. Z was also following him. He says, "Candy can't escape from me. Today is the night of revenge." He stands outside the bathroom and says that you tell stories to all the people. "Let me tell you a story today." Jack tells Candy the story of 2 sisters. He tells that both of them were doctors, and she was going to meet her mum in some other city. It is very late at night, so a sister stops on the way and starts buying some things. But when she goes and looks at the shop, sometimes a car comes and stops near that shop. The other sister was watching all this, standing at a distance. A man comes out of the car who looks very upset. He has made her sister sit in the car. He was not going anywhere from here. Candy excuses when the eyes of the other sister go to the back seat of the car. She had brought it, which is standing far away, and was watching everything. Her face was full of blood. Then she sees a woman soaked in blood and tells her listeners that today she will tell you the most strange and dangerous story. Shraddha gets very scared in the bathroom and immediately calls the police because she feels that the man is kidnapping her sister, and the woman sitting in the back seat wants to kill her. Comes someone who says that this is the radio at night. All her attention was on the phone. Dangerous that is why her car collides with this unknown man, due to which the man's car went on a straight line, and that kind of twigs breaks the front fender of her car, because of which everyone had died in that car. When Jo opened the door of that car, her sister was holding a small child in her hand who was crying. Here, he understands what a big mistake he has made. The man was not a kidnapper, but he was taking his pregnant wife of 2 to the hospital. He asked her sister because she was a doctor, and his sister was also willing to do so. She had gone with them, after which the man started rapidly going towards the hospital, but the girl thought that he was going to kidnap her sister and that woman and take them somewhere. He accidentally caused an accident in which they all died. The family as well as his sister also died. Only their child was left, who was telling this story of Zach to Candy while standing in the bathroom. He says that this whole story is true, as the girl, without thinking anything, made a wrong idea about that man. "That's how you did it to me," he says. "That night you along with your friends made me a lot of fun. It took 3 months of my earnings. Now he warns her to come out, says that now you will open the door and come out or I will come inside." He started breaking the door with an axe because he was very scared of the anti-check talks. That is why he opened the door out of fear. It turns out Jack had gone inside the bathroom. After some time, Candy excuses herself from the bathroom alone. She had brought it and sat in her studio. Her face was full of blood. She comes on air and tells her listeners that today she will tell you the most strange and dangerous story. We can see her in the bathroom where Jay's dead body was lying. Candy had cut her into pieces with her own axe. Finally, Candy can be seen. Comes someone who says that this is the radio at night where these cheap and dangerous stories will never end. And with this, the story of our film also ends here.